And if everyone would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And an official Happy New Year, since it's still January. And on your agenda, by the way, it says 2024.
Oh, oopsie doodle.
Takes a while for it to feel
Yep,
real.
it's
Takes a
gonna
while.
go till April.
That's for sure.
Be ready for it.
All right, first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the December 9th board meeting and the December 19th workshop meeting. Are there amendments to make any? I think there's some amendments.
I think there are amendments too. Well, can we do the 9th?
Let's do the 9th first. So I need a motion to approve the minutes for December 9th.
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Malcorka. Any amendments to this one?
Yes, so for the seed packet, I abstained, and I don't believe for the Indigenous project that it was, that everyone voted yes. Am I wrong in that? Did everyone vote for it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Everyone voted
Okay,
yes?
great.
Okay,
And I was
good.
unaware.
Good clarification. Any other amendments? Hearing none, with the one change to abstaining on the, that was a motion, right?
It was a motion for donation.
All in favor?
Aye.
I heard an aye from everyone. Okay, and then we have the workshop. Motion to approve the workshop minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Kim. Are there any amendments to this one? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I heard an aye from everyone. Okay. So under regular business, the first item is the recommendation from the Red Hook Public Library for a candidate to be appointed to their board, Kelly French. And Kelly is here with us. Thank you very much for coming. Maybe you can just introduce yourself and just sort of say a little bit about why you want to be on the library board. And
There's
If you-
a mic right there, and you just turn it on and start talking.
only because it actually gets recorded, and this way it gets picked up better. And you just have to speak into it.
And keep talking, it'll turn on.
It will turn on?
Keep going. If the thing's up.
Okay, I see. Okay, hi. My name is Kelly French. I am a resident of Red Hook. I live in Upper Red Hook. I've been a resident since 2015. I've volunteered with various organizations around the town, the village, as well as the county. And I have 2 children. They are 15 today. It's their birthday.
Wow.
And I just chased a possum out of my house on the way here. So.
Possums are good. They're
was great.
good. They're good things.
They're great. It followed my dog right in. They're very good friends.
Mm.
Anyways, I am interested in being a trustee of the library because I have been a lifelong volunteer. I am always looking for opportunities to volunteer, and I would like something that is near and dear to my heart. And I grew up in libraries in Western Pennsylvania. And I have always been a member of our libraries, and they are often the first places that new residents come to, that people in need go to, and as you can see with all the things going on around the world, our libraries are really integral places in our community. So I'm interested in putting my time and effort with the board, and also interested in helping them with some of their safety planning. I'm a registered nurse by trade, and I've done lots of safety things for schools and stuff, so just kind of interested in helping them with whatever they need help with.
That's wonderful.
That's
Thank
me.
you. And also, just to clarify, the reason why you're here
Yes.
is because part of the library's charter is that the board members of the library are appointed by the village.
That's right.
And that is an original part of the original charter, which is, so we are following the appropriate process.
Very good.
Anybody have any questions for Kelly?
What are the challenges that you see ahead for the library in the next 5 years? basically?
Good question. I'm still learning what our challenges are, like exactly who we serve and how our populations are changing. Again, I'm relatively new resident of Red Hook, and I feel that there has been different waves of residents coming in, and so I'm looking forward to learning what those issues are. I do know it's a historic building, so there are clearly issues with the building and its maintenance and as far as just being accessible and safe and stuff. So I see that as something that can be addressed. And to be honest with you, I don't know what the challenges are going to be. I do think that the next several years will pose some challenges, so we'll look forward to just kind of seeing what they are. And but I don't have a definitive answer to that because I've only been to one meeting as a perspective, and they have a retreat next on Sunday that I'm going to go to as a second meeting, so I'll be able to dive in a little deeper then.
It was a tricky question. You handled it well.
I wish I had a better answer.
No, it's a good answer.
Anybody else have a question? Then I'll make a motion that the board appoints Kelly French to, oh gosh, this is to take over, Anna, this is where you're helping me. This is to fulfill the remainder of Amy Houston's term on the library board. I made that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions or
How
what have
many
you?
years does she have on the term? Do we know?
We do know.
That was in the email that I didn't print out.
Yeah. Anna, how many years left?
It's April or May 2027, so
2027?
I believe so, yes.
Great.
We've got you for a while.
Yeah, you have me.
Awesome. Well, I think it's normally a 5-year term, so. All right, so till 2027. April or May?
Yes, I can.
There you are. Thank you. All in favor? And I'm sorry, I will take a roll call vote. Charlie?
Aye.
Mel Corco?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Kim?
Hi.
And I am also an aye. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that you come in, and we appreciate your willingness to serve on the library board. And we look forward to a positive relationship between the library and the village. And look forward to seeing you around.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You're obviously welcome to stay, but you're not required.
Thanks, everyone.
I think you got a birthday party to get to.
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Maybe
Well, happy
possibly.
birthday.
Yes.
They zoom in, we'll sing.
Yeah.
How about that? And thank you, Anna. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much.
Okay, the next item of business is, maybe Steve, you can share just a little bit about this. This is a donation of
Yes.
seed packs.
So the seed library for the Public Spaces Initiative, which, as we previously discussed, is housed at the Red Hook Community Center, has received a second generous donation of seeds, this one from Adams Fairacre Farms, and it has a value of $400, and it's a very informal note from Adams. Took a lot of prodding to get them to put something on paper. The seeds were forthcoming much more readily than a document, but we'd be looking to approve receipt of $400 of seeds.
Okay, you want to put that in the form of a motion?
So I have a motion to approve a gift from Adams Fairacre Farms for $400 of seed packs for the Public Spaces Initiative Seed Library.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions? What kind of seeds? Were they all vegetables or?
I
A little
believe
of
it's a mix of vegetables and flowers.
Gotcha. Any other questions? I'll do a roll call, go the other way. Kim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Milcorka?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, the next item is, this is related to the animal husbandry law. We've had a request to make an amendment to the animal husbandry law, and we discussed that at our workshop. And one of the questions that came up was how many parcels are affected. And the request for the amendment is to, in the animal husbandry law that we passed a year and a half ago, it indicated that you have to have a minimum of 2 acres to qualify for animal husbandry, basically farm animals. You have to have a minimum of 2 acres in your parcel to even be allowed. And then you need to have a minimum of 1.5 acres of available land. And available means it doesn't have a building on it, it doesn't have a driveway on it, etc. And that with that 1.5 acre of available land, you're allowed to have either one large animal, and the way we defined that was an animal that is 250 pounds or more at maturity, and any animal that at its maturity is less than 250 pounds, you can have 2 of those for 1.5 acres of available land. The request for the amendment is to say that if you have a partial amount, so if you have, what would that be, 2.25 acres of available land, that you could have, on the 1.5 available, you could either have the 1 big or 2 small, and then on the 3/4 acre, you could have an additional small, hoping that that makes sense. Thus, I looked at the parcels in the village. There are 28 parcels over 2 acres in the village of Red Hook out of, it's approximately 760 parcels, possibly 763 parcels in the village. And of those 28 parcels that are over 2 acres, hold on, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 of them are in the residential districts where we allow animal husbandry. And of those, 15 of them are on parcels over 4 acres. So it's not out of the 763 parcels that we have, we're not talking about a lot of parcels. And the number of parcels that are in residential districts that are over 4 acres, it is a mix of individual owners, as well as it includes the former Cookingham property that's now owned by the town. It's the Hardy Roots property, it's the middle school, the high school fields, but it's also several residential properties. The Hardimans has a piece of property, St. Christopher School, etc. So that, and the 2 residential districts, it's the R10,000 and the R20,000, and I just looked up in our code the description of the R10,000, which says land use is most appropriate in this district include higher density single-family residence. And then the relatively concentrated character of residences in this district provides opportunities for extending amenities such as sidewalks, utilities, and street lighting. So I think just to be clear, the whole idea behind the residential zoning is for a higher density single-family residence, because that's the way it was written when the code was established. So the question at hand is, do we want to put in the time and the money to have our land use attorney write up an amendment for the animal husbandry law? Is there any other information that folks would like to have?
What would an amendment look like? Like, would it be to break down instead of keeping it 1 large, 2 small, would it be to break it down more so it's like 1.5 available for a large, or 3/4 of acre available for 1 small? Would it?
So the amendment would look like whatever we want it to look like.
Oh,
I mean, this is what the, this is the making of the code. So it would be whatever, however we direct the village attorney to do it. And I guess I should preface by saying, we are a village. The purpose or the overarching notion of the village is this is where more people are congregated, a higher density is it's all relative, obviously, so that in the village, so that we can provide the infrastructure, water and sewer that allows for greater density, so that the town can keep all the wonderful open space that we have. It was a year and a half ago that we went through the process of creating a law that allowed for animal husbandry, because we didn't have that before. And if we hadn't done that a year and a half ago, I think this would be a different conversation for me. But I think we made every effort to make accommodations to allow for animal husbandry, but I don't see that as the primary purpose of the village. And I think we made a very reasonable and appropriate accommodation for, and obviously we did animal husbandry as well as bees and chickens, which I think were all positive things to do. We have limited resources as people, as money, and time, and I think we have other more important things to do. But that's my perspective, which is why I'm bringing it to all of you, because it's all of us who are elected to represent the village. So, that said, again, we can do, we can direct however we like, just recognizing that this is a cost investment, a use of resources of the village. And I don't see this as a priority at this point.
And it's residents' tax dollars that pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one request from one person that has,
Yeah.
or two, one residence.
One residence, right?
Yeah.
Parcel.
So I agree with you. I think it's not the correct use of our resources. Because we had a public hearing, and we put the time out, and we put a lot of work.
2 public hearings.
Yeah, and a lot of conversations, and we listened to a lot of public comments, and we even, I remember recommending that it not be as restrictive as we made, we already made accommodations to the original law, I don't think it's appropriate that we just change a law whenever anyone asks. I don't think that's the precedent to set. If we had gotten a lot of letters, if it was a thing that was beyond one residence, I think it would be appropriate. But that's my.
And I guess I would the other piece that I would add, which is one of the reasons why I was interested in looking and pulling up the numbers, is, this is a law that would apply to all of these parcels. And so, is it a burden to the village? Probably not. But again, I thought we made a pretty good faith effort when we did this 1.5 years ago. But again, open to a motion to proceed, if others would like to do that.
My thought, I think, is in line with what you had mentioned. We spent a lot of time. If there was any other evidence presented supporting this, I would be open to it. But and after the last meeting, I was a little bit on the fence. But unless there's something compelling in addition to the letter from the one resident, I would support keeping things as it currently sits, because as you had mentioned, we did spend quite a bit of time thinking about how best to construct this.
Any other comments?
I mean, my only comment is sort of like in line with what I was mentioning, like if as a way to potentially amendment, we have spent a lot of time, understandably. I know I missed some of those meetings, so I wasn't from the ground, so I didn't ask some of the clarifying questions about if you're above and beyond that additional 1.5 acres, can it be cut in half if they're small animals, or do you have to have a full extra, like 1.5, or if you have more than that, do you have to hit that extra 3 acres and above to enable you to move more than just the, say every 2 animals if it's small, or 1 large animal if it's big. You know, and we're not in for making laws for one specific resident, as we've mentioned. But I do think, you know, we were figuring it out. I know laws aren't really like to be tested necessarily, but I think we sort of came into it. Maybe it's just me, but I think like now that it's come into play, we have a little bit more understanding of how this was interpreted, because I do think when I read the law, I didn't see it as you would have to have an additional like 3 acres and above. If I wanted to have, say, 4 small animals, or make that 4.5 for 6 small animals. I thought once you reached the minimum point, you could then sort of do 1 small. But that was maybe my fault for not digging more into it from the get-go. Now that I've seen it, how it was interpreted.
I will share that the residents who have sent the request were at both public hearings, and the law was available to the public, to them, and those questions were never asked at that time. And you know, yeah, we were certainly moving it along, you know, sort of creating it as we go. But there were certainly opportunities for questions and clarifying at the time.
So as the law is written currently, they have enough available land for 4 goats, is that correct?
Correct.
And they would like to keep the 5?
They had received a variance for the 5 specific goats they had at the time from the zoning board. But they've changed the goats that they have, so that variance no longer applies.
Okay. It applied to a specific set of goats?
Yes.
Yes. Because of the argument.
Partly because, and actually if you read the variance that was approved, part of the request for the variance was related to emotional support and connection with those, as I read it, with those specific goats.
Right. So that variance doesn't apply anymore?
Because,
It
yes,
applies if they
because it's
have
not
them.
the same.
Right.
If they bring it back.
I would say though that if it was I mean we allow dogs, but if it was a dog and it was an emotional support animal and the dog passed away and the person replaced their emotional support dog, would there be a question?
Dogs are so different than
But
these.
I understand
No,
like
but-
as an animal, but if the variance was because they were for emotional support animals, and granted these goats originally didn't die, they moved them.
Absolutely.
But would it be a different
But I think the
conversation?
notion is that there was that there were 5, and if one were to pass, then there would be 4. And so it wasn't that, you know, if you have 1 emotional support animal and that one goes away in whatever form, of course you'd allow another one. It's more the multiples that becomes the whole different sort of ballgame, if you will.
And we're not supposed to be doing zoning laws as spot zoning. We're not supposed to be doing it for this individual case and this individual specific. It is really about what we want the village to look like and what we want the residential areas to be, and how, you know, how neighbors are going to get along. There are neighbors that don't agree with them having goats. And I know a lot of other village residents who have talked to me and think it's ridiculous to have livestock. I'm obviously pro-agriculture, but I can understand we have to do a compromise. So we can't just think of this in terms of this one specific case. We have to think about it as, which is what we did with the law, anyway.
And presumably they could apply for a new variance.
They could.
We have no say over the CBA.
And that is part of the role of the zoning board,
Right.
is to be a board of appeals. Absolutely.
And they could have 300 goats in the town if they really wanted to, right? That's the...
In the town
across-
for
Oh, in the town.
In the
right.
town.
In the town.
You know, we live in an agricultural region. It's great. We have dense residential neighborhoods that we have to think of.
I mean, that's
neighbors
fair.
they
I
love.
will say, I did live in Atlanta where a house down the street in a neighborhood had goats, and that is a city. So talking about high density and whether or not goats are allowed, I think, like, I think that gets into a funny balance there, because Atlanta's a big city, and there are multiple families that had goats living on their property there, and on much smaller properties.
And that's
But-
and that's part of the conversation. I mean, we have a law that allows for 4 goats in this particular parcel. It allows for goats for 2 acres and above. I mean, we could certainly talk about allowing for more livestock. That's not something that I see as a priority for the village, but that's just, again, that's my perspective. I don't come from an agricultural background.
Well, and I think we can find residents that, like what Volker said, who aren't for having goats in the village, and we can find residents that
Who
are
are.
having goats in the village, depending on who you talk to.
And that's the balance of what we do here as a board, is to come up with a solution that balances all those needs, desires, wants, whatever the right term is. And again, I think that's what we tried to do with the law as we did it, recognizing that agriculture isn't the primary sort of goal and focus of the village.
Without butting heads.
Any other comments, thoughts? Unless someone would like to make a motion, I will take that as that we will not proceed with making an amendment to the animal husbandry law at this point. Okay. I do not have any budget adjustments for tonight. Reminding you that our next meeting is the workshop meeting on January 23rd, and our next board meeting is February 13th. And with that, we will move on to our treasurer. What's that? Oh.
You're consistent.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it wasn't though, because I had it right in February, but January.
We're
is
working our way
clearly
towards
still
2025. January is definitely
Yeah,
the
sure.
hard
Does my report say January 2025 or 2024?
No, I think you nailed it. You did well. I did
Okay.
perfect.
Not looking for praise, just curious, because it's unclear from my handwritten notes here. So good evening, my Board of Trustees. These are the status of our financial situation as of 12/31/2024. In the general fund, we had $1,183,324.57. Water fund, $374,057.85. Our payroll clearing account had $52,537. Sewer fund, $186,853.63. Hardscrabble, $7,068.48. Just a little note on the Hardscrabble, we got in all of our income from our sponsors, the town, etc. We've paid out all of our known bills, unless there's very unlikely anything else is hanging out. So you can feel confident there's $7,000 going in that fund going into the next extravaganza. Village Green, $7,587.54. Health Insurance Fund, $13,084.20. And the petty cash had $52,000. I'm sorry. God, that was a very large misspeak. $52.93. And onto our reserve checking balances. The fire department, $10,437.50. Police, $17,935.05. USDA, $145,931.28. Highway reserve, $598.89. Snow, $3,446.18. Tower reserve, $18,611.71. Unemployment, $7,382.52. Port reserve, $3,466.26. And the office reserve has $1,021.95. And lastly, our monthly expenditures out of the general fund were $383,776.74. Water Fund, $39,411.72. Payroll Clearing Account, $3,179.09. And the Sewer Fund, $10,692.81.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So much.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
Thank you, Steve. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I heard
Thank you.
all ayes. Thank you very much, Lori. Okay, we're on to other reports. Me, I guess I'm next. Okay, the police report for the month of December 2024. There were 308 incidents, 172 in the village of Red Hook, 112 in the town of Red Hook, and 24 in the village of Tivoli. There were 116 water tower security checks. There were 82 uniform traffic tickets. Of those, 44 were in the village of Red Hook, 33 were in the town of Red Hook, and 5 were in the village of Tivoli. Parking tickets, there were 7 in the village of Red Hook, none in the town of Red Hook, and 37 in the village of Tivoli. It's a big month for the village of Tivoli. Arrests, there were 6, 1 in the village of Red Hook, 5 in the town of Red Hook, and none in the village of Tivoli. Otherwise, for my reports, the sewer construction project, there are 2 remaining items outstanding. One is the single audit, and we are still waiting for this audit from our auditor. It is my strong hope that we receive it within the next week or so. There is one final MWBE report from Carver Construction to be filed with EFC that should happen this month. Sewer expansion phase 2, we have an income survey in process, which has the potential to increase our chances of getting bipartisan infrastructure funding and other grants as well. So if anyone has received in the mail a request for an income survey, that is why, and it would be very helpful if you filled it out and returned it to the village. It will give us the opportunity to have more grant funding, which means that the phase 2 of the project, the expansion of the sewer, will ultimately have a lower cost going forward. Just a final comment on the union contract negotiations. We all approved the memorandums of agreement. Retroactive pay has all been issued, and the fully executed contracts are in process. Regarding the WIA water projects, the SCADA controls upgrade, that system training has been held. The static IP address from our internet supplier Frontier has been secured, and the alarm system is now fully functioning as intended. Avanti Construction was the contractor, and the final cost for this project was $390,078. The water tank rehabilitation project, this project is now complete. The only thing outstanding is a contracted annual inspection that will take place next summer. So there'll be a final payment to them next summer. And the contractor was Worldwide Industries. Cherry and Grave Street water main replacement, the physical work is complete. The final change order for $32,754 related to additional paving work was approved at our last meeting. The contractor was Amity Construction. The final cost for this project was $1,036,314.37. And so that is an exciting wrap up to important infrastructure projects for our water system. Cherry and Grave Street water main was one of the original water mains. I don't know that we replaced the original, but it was certainly well past due. And then just as it relates to the Red Hook Library, with the holidays and us shifting our workshop meeting, I was not able to attend the December meeting. But you can always find their board packet on the library website. You just have to look a little bit. It's redhooklibrary.org/Board of Trustees, and embedded in the language is a place to click for the current board package. But the construction is complete. I'm sure everyone is thrilled not to have to go through construction anymore. And they have some projects. They're working on a strategic plan going forward. And I think that's all I have. Oh, fire. Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. And we do have a fire report for the month of December. In the village, there were 23 incidents. Of those, 14 were of the EMS variety. 700 were alarms. 2 were assist in village service call person in distress. And then 1 was a smoke scare. In the outside the village, which is primarily the town, there were 63. 34 of those which were EMS type calls. 17 were alarm type calls. 5 were fires. 4 were assist invalid service type call, and 3 were the smoke scare calls. So after the full year, the total number of incidents in the village were 335, and in the outside the village was 854. And so that is the fire report. So I think that's it for me. So who's next? Mel Corco, you're next.
Me. Okay, so my thing did not make the packet, I apologize. Red Hook Town Economic Development Committee meets bi-weekly on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month at 8:40 a.m. An emergency meeting was held December 2nd, 2024 at the KDA office at 7531 North Broadway regarding drafting a response letter to the town's proposed zoning amendment law. I was not present at that meeting. The latest meeting was held on Wednesday, January 8th at Village Hall. The committee discussed a member stepping down, as well as possibly offering members who have had a string of absences ex officio positions. Over the past year, the committee has had several meetings that did not have a quorum of the 9 appointed members present. The committee decided to suggest several names to the town board, although for the newly vacant seat. Sorry, all those. Next meeting on January 22nd is pending confirmation that the town hall is available. The Dutchess County Safety Action Plan Advisory Committee, no update this month. The third meeting of this committee will be taking place on January 27th, 2024. In 2025, look, in Poughkeepsie. In the meantime, if you're interested in the plan process, you can learn more at dutchessny.gov/safety action plan. And apparently they have the recorded public meeting on there if anyone's interested in.
They have some fascinating data, actually, about safety as it relates to roads and intersections, et cetera, around the county. It's very interesting.
That's great. The Village of Red Hook Communications Committee meets every first Wednesday of the month at 1:30 p.m. in the Village Hall Conference Room. The Communications Committee did not meet this month due to the first Monday following on New Year's Day. There's been some progress. The first Wednesday, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I checked these too. There has been some progress on the ongoing projects. The new dual stream recycling guide and waste collection information sheets were printed. See the attached waste collection guide, which I did not include in last month's report. And the mayor has received official permission to use a .gov address, which will soon be required by all municipalities in New York State. Stay tuned on that rollout. Village of Red Hook Human Relations Committee meets every first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. in the Village Hall Conference Room. January's meeting was held on January 2nd. During the meeting, we discussed the ongoing Indigenous History Project. We decided we would start a document compiling a list of research and shared resources. At a meeting with Heather Bruegel on January 7th, we discussed adding a subpage to the committee website describing the goals of the project. The Village Public Works Department report. Scrap metal program, there's been no revenue received since my last report. Seasonal tree pickup, the Public Works Department will be picking up Christmas trees through the end of January. Please place unwrapped and undecorated trees at the curb. Snow removal and seasonal parking rules, now that we've entered snow season.
Before you go on, just as a note, for the Christmas trees, most of them go to a local farm. Because apparently goats find them very tasty, so they are being recycled that way. I believe there's someone who has requested some trees they're planning to do a bonfire of some sort.
Rose Hill.
Rose Hill, thank you.
Yeah, Gucci
Um,
from Rose.
And so the trees are being appropriately recycled.
I only say that because he volunteers for hard scrap, so he's getting our trash to burn to grace the trees. It's part of some ceremony. Okay, now we've entered snow season. Please remember that there is no overnight parking on village streets and that items may get damaged by the plow trucks if they're left on the street edge. Also, if you have a sidewalk adjacent to your property, you are required to keep it clear of snow and ice within 24 hours after a winter storm. And that's it, except the last page on it was from last month. Again, I did not see that one, so you can just scratch it out.
And the waste collection guide, that's available on the website, correct?
It is, and it also came with my water bill.
Well, there you
So,
go.
yeah, so it's in color on the water bill. But
Awesome.
you guys can just sort of see that there's a lot of new services that, and old ones with, trying to fit it all in, so.
No, it's a great collection of, and lots of information on a piece of paper as to what we do for waste collection.
And it's accurate
Thank you.
information because Jen did a lot of edits, which were very helpful. Thank you.
A number of eyeballs looked at this, yeah.
We got the date right, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think there is a date on it, so that probably helped. Okay, and that's it for you. Trustee Lang.
Yes, monthly reports for December. Let's start off with materials management. So in the month of December, the Village Highway Department collected 2.83 tons of recycling. That's 1.66 tons of commingled, 0.42 tons of cardboard, and 0.75 tons of paper. The village also collected 2.38 tons of garbage, which was transported to Accra at a total cost of $517.15, $288.70 in tipping fees, and $17.33 in fuel surcharges. The village also contracted for a new dumpster service that started in early December. So we now have a service through Royal Carting, and I believe that's a smaller dumpster.
Larger,
Oh,
6 yard.
larger dumpster.
It's a larger
picked up more
dumpster.
frequently.
No,
On
well,
a,
same rotation.
All right.
it's on, and again, thanks to Jen, it's on a state contract.
All right. And we pay less for it,
Yes.
which is excellent. So the estimate of garbage that was transported via that dumpster service was approximately 5 tons. Over the course of the month, the village collected $2,517 from the sale of garbage tags, and that's broken down as follows: $1,413 at Village Hall, $600 from Taste Buds, and $504 from the Red Hook Public Library. So that's materials management, and then we can move on to water treatment facilities.
Did you read this?
You might get to it.
Sorry, go ahead.
So during the month of December, the water treatment facility treated 7,594,809 total gallons, which is an average of 244,994 gallons per day. That looks, it's a little bit higher than last year, same time.
But it's back to more the realm of normal versus
Yes.
the summer where it was,
This summer it was
Right.
really
for a lot of reasons.
spiking, and usage was, or at least volume was very high. We did obviously have a unnaturally dry and warm summer, well, late summer, fall. But anyway, we
But there was the construction.
The construction.
Projects discovered a number of leaks some
Yeah.
of which were made worse by the construction. But those, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes from here. But I think we're finally back to a month that may not have any major disturbances in it.
Right. Yes, that would be nice to see. So as we always do, 3 bacteriological samples were sent out to York Analytical in Connecticut, and they all came back clean, i.e. no detected coliform or E. coli. And during the month of December, the water treatment plant used 75 gallons of sodium hypochlorite, and that comes to an average daily use of 2.4 gallons per day. So that's it for water treatment facilities
Could you
report.
just read
Ooh.
if there's any changes that have been, if there's anything interesting.
The utility billing,
Not much to report. There was no adjustments.
no bill adjustments. Just ongoing billing and payments coming in slowly. There was a meeting of the Saltkill watershed community in the month of December. That was via Zoom on December 18th. And during that meeting we discussed, the Saltkill watershed community discussed the report on Benner Road. There are landowners on Benner Road who are concerned about water flow and erosion in that tributary to the Saltkill. And the group is working on a new newsletter that they hope to put out fairly shortly. They are planning for and setting up for a community meeting which is going to take place on January 22nd. Let me just double check. Yes, Wednesday, January 22nd at the Elmendorf. And they would love for community members to come along to the Elmendorf and learn about what the Saltkill watershed community does and the projects that they're working on, water sampling projects that are being carried out, and get involved and show up and find out what's going on in your local watershed.
What time is that meeting scheduled for?
Yes, I need to follow up on that. You can probably go to the Saltkill watershed website, which should have lots of information by this time,
Got it.
given that's only a week and a half away.
Yes, I'm assuming it's an evening meeting, so.
Yes,
Okay, well, check their website. Great.
I think it might be 7 o'clock.
But that's a guess.
There were not any meetings of the Community Preservation Fund Committee that I was aware of in the month of December. But I believe that, well, I don't know what the current balance of the CPF is. I will find out.
Got it.
Okay,
That's it?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bradley Ricard.
For the Village Green for December, the Village Green Committee had a slow December without any meetings, and we're hoping to get into our spring planting planning. So if you are interested in having trees planted, please reach out. We're looking to add trees to our village streets as well. So if you are out and about and see an open space, maybe in front of a new or old business, you can send those suggestions to us as well. We're actively recruiting members. If you're interested in giving back to your community but don't have a lot of time to give, this might be the perfect committee for you.
I'm interrupting you right here for a question. Did you ever get a hold of the bank person? Did I ever connect you? No, the Mid-Hudson? They are
Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit.
Yeah, right here. They're interested in a tree.
Oh, cool.
So if I don't reach out to you, can you bug me and I will try to do
Yes,
that? Thank you.
I will make a note. Thank you. Look at that, potential tree planting happening. The sewer department As we move through the drought of the fall and into December, unfortunately, the odor issues continue to haunt the plant and the neighbors nearby. During December, we kept assessing what we could do and had a deep look at the plant. Unfortunately, we found that there were many areas of the plant that were under operating. Our bugs were not the proper level to be able to do the job bugs are there to do, and there are some equipment issues. To rectify this, we scheduled a dump of new food into our system to help speed up the process so that we could get the bugs back to healthy levels. Additionally, we reached out to a wastewater treatment senior project manager who has spent his career in the field to help advise us so as what we can address the concerns that come with the plant and position us into a solid place moving forward. Furthermore, the senior project consultant will help us understand the ins and outs more clearly from an operational standpoint of what our plant specifically needs and what we can do to make sure it gets it. We have had complaints from our neighbors regarding the plant, and I want to thank you for alerting us so that we could keep trying to solve the puzzle that is the wastewater treatment plant. We keep pushing for answers and solutions and processes to ensure that we have a healthy and functioning wastewater treatment plant. Each solution along the way aids in that. As I myself am not an expert in wastewater treatment plants or sewer systems, I'm relying on the team of professionals that we have hired to guide the village and provide advice based on their expertise. We meet every other Friday, and if you have concerns about the expansion and or are currently in the sewer use area and have comments, concerns, etc., please don't hesitate to reach out. There is also the expression of interest form up on our website if you're wanting to connect into the sewer capacity required. It will put you on our list of places to consider and puts you on our radar. For the speed limit initiative, there's nothing new to report in December. The town's Greenway and Trails Committee did not meet in December. Instead, they participated in the town's committee holiday engagement at the Grove. And for the climate smart communities, the village has been awarded a compost grant through the county to start a pilot composting pickup site here in the village. And the Climate Smart will be spearheading these initiatives. Furthermore, if you're interested in joining the task force, please reach out as we are starting to plan our year's projects to move forward. And that is the end of my reports for December.
Okay. Trustee Appenzeller.
Good evening. The Village of Red Hook Building Department monthly report is as follows. There were 6 building permits issued, no certificates of occupancy, 4 certificates of compliance, and 4 municipal searches. There were no orders to remedy, no stop work orders, no do not occupy notices, also no court appearances or complaints. There were 5 fire inspections during the month, one at 2 Garden Street, St. Christopher's Church, 52 West Market, 15-45 O'Callahan Lane, the UBS property, and 43 West Market Street. There was also a re-inspection for Cancun's Restaurant at 7481-7483 South Broadway. All items were remedied. For all of the activity that occurred during the month, there was $2,313.50 in fee revenue. For the planning board, at their December 12th meeting, there was a site plan and public hearing for St. John Street, Thomas LeGrand's property that was tabled to the January 9th meeting. There was a site plan approval granted to 7484 South Broadway for retail use, a site plan extension granted to a property located at 7536 North Broadway, that is Lofty, the cannabis business. And then there is a site plan extension approval granted for 59 Fisk Street, that is the Red Hook Community Center. There was no December Zoning Board of Appeals meeting due to no agenda items last month. For the Public Spaces Initiative for January, normally public meetings are held the 4th Saturday of each month at 10 a.m. here at Village Hall. There was no meeting in December, and there's 2 quick updates. One, for the seed library, as we discussed and approved earlier, there was a seed donation from Adams, and there was also, as approved in a prior meeting, another seed donation from So Right Seeds. So that's stocking up that resource for the spring. And just a quick note, there is a repair cafe that is coming up at the Red Hook Community Center. That will be on Saturday, January 25th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The PSI will be participating with a Repair Your Garden table, and they'll be providing information on winter garden activities, things you can do now, primarily revolving around soil amendments to the extent the soil is not frozen. Seed starting, that can be done indoors in preparation for springtime. And I think something all gardeners enjoy doing, looking through seed catalogs and putting together your planting layout for the spring when it does finally get warm. For the planning update, we've been working with the village's planner, Nelson Popin Voorhees, who has prepared, as we reported earlier, an initial draft of zoning language to amend the existing code to create a Gateway North zoning district. That's where the proposed mixed-use project on the Cookingham East property will be located. As part of that review process, there was a meeting held on December 11th with RUPCO, the potential developer of that property, to present the draft zoning and discuss sewer capacity and infrastructure issues. A follow-up meeting was held with RUPCO on December 19th, discussing how the affordability aspects of that project could be administered, and RUPCO is in the process of sending some background material, and that will be discussed in an upcoming meeting. And that concludes the reports for December.
Okay, so now we move on to general business.
Mayor, could I just, I did get an email on the Sauk Hill Watershed Community meeting.
Absolutely.
So I've got some details. So please join the Sauk Hill Watershed Community Leadership Team for our first community meeting of 2025. We will share updates about water quality testing, our partnership with the Bard Community Sciences Lab, our work with the Winnicke Land Trust, amphibian migrations, and more. We'll also open the floor to questions and comments from you. Learn how to get involved in any or all. Public meeting will be held on Wednesday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. at the Almendorf Inn in Red Hook. All are welcome.
Excellent.
Okay, better.
News on the fly, love it. Great. Okay, we do have a little general business. I think Mr. Appenzeller has some news for us.
So I have a personal news I'd like to share with everyone. For those who may not be aware, I will actually be moving from the village of Red Hook, probably within the next few months. And naturally, as part of that, I will be ending my term prematurely, much to my regret, here with everyone. My wife and I, we just spent a lot of time kind of figuring what we want to be doing at this point in our life, where we want to be, and came to a couple of conclusions. Given a confluence of a number of events, we want to be traveling, quite a bit more and spending a portion of the year someplace warm, ideally with palm trees, and kind of in conjunction with that, have decided.
We could put some palm trees in the back corner,
Well, in the interim, that would be great, and I would welcome
I'll work
that.
on that.
Sound of water
And-
rushing up on shore.
There you go.
That all works. Have decided that kind of a townhouse or apartment type living situation works best for us. We haven't decided conclusively upon where we will be living. We're considering traditions here in Red Hook, but also buying an apartment in New York City. And, obviously the next couple of months will kind of firm up all those moving parts. We have a lot of ties here in Red Hook and in this area. And, certainly keeping a footprint here would be something nice. And as I told the mayor, I'm happy to serve even when I'm no longer a member of the board on a volunteer basis with activities, and in particular the climate smart community work that's underway. And I'm available to serve at the mayor's pleasure up until the time I'm no longer a resident of the village of Red Hook.
Well, I wanted you to have that opportunity to share that news. Obviously, it has been it's been a great pleasure to work with you these past 2 years, and maybe it'll be a long, drawn-out closing, so we can keep you for longer. We will be very sorry to see you go, but we will look forward to the emails of pictures of palm trees and, and beaches that you're hanging out on while we're here in Village Hall when it's freezing. Just a practical update. Unfortunately, it is too late to add this position on the ballot. We do have 2 trustee positions, that of Charlie Lang and of Melkorka Kjarval are up for election this March. But the timing is too late by New York state law to add a 3rd position. So what happens next is that I have the capacity as mayor to appoint someone until we have a special election, which will be next March 2026. More news to come on that, and the specific part of that is I have the opportunity to appoint someone from now until April of this year, and then I would appoint or reappoint, depending on how it all goes, someone for the following year until the special election.
Well, until the end of that whole term. Like, when they're elected, they don't get just move it.
No, but if I appoint someone now, I have to reappoint them in April of this year for
April
the
to
year,
April, yeah.
and then April 2026 would be an election, which is a special
Election
election.
will be in March, and then they.
March for the
they
April,
take
yes,
term
okay,
and-
yes, exactly. All very important, these details, that we got it in control.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested, now's a good time to consider running for office. If you have any questions, you want, feel free to reach out, arguably to any of us. But I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with anyone about the possibility of being on the village board. It is, aside from the appointed position, it's an elected office, so there's a whole process for that as well, of which we have some information on the village website. If you click on the government section, there's an item called village elections, and that has some information on it. Anybody else have any general business? No? We have any public comment? Public? No comments? Just giving you an opportunity. No executive session for this evening. Vouchers are upstairs for your review and approval. And I need a motion to pay bills after audit.
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. Second?
Second?
Thank you, Melkorka. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's everyone. Okay. And so with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Kim. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.